All right, I guess we're live. We didn't get a cool countdown like I thought we always do, but that doesn't matter. We're so excited to have you with us for a very special, probably the most special Seahawks Collective presented by Hog Media, because we've got a divisional playoff game to preview a third matchup with the 49ers and the Seahawks. They'll be well rested and have Lumen Field on their side. But if we know anything about the postseason, it is that anything can happen. That's why we got to hear from our guys, the best Seahawks insiders in the world. And yeah, I can say that because we're global. We've got Rob Staten on from the Seahawks Draft Blog, and in Seattle, Michael Sean Ugar covering the Hawks for The Athletic, and Brian Nemhauser, the Hawk blogger. Ask them what's on their minds and if the Seahawks are going to be able to take this first go home or win game of the season. We'll try to get to all your comments, but I just got to start. We got to see Mike McDonald on FaceTime with Maria Taylor during the wild card weekend, and he seemed very happy to be watching from a different spot on Sunday, kind of sitting back and relaxing, but he was putting on the work. And so I'd love to just know from each of you, maybe it's a highlight from being at practice or just a highlight from your bye week, your bye weekend. I'll start with you, Brian. What was the highlight from your week?
Oh, man. Well, besides this show and getting to see all of your lovely faces, I would say, it was great to finally know who the Seahawks were going to play, because I admit it, like I didn't think the Panthers were going to be close in that game with the Rams. And when they made that, Jalen Coker made that touchdown catch at the end and they were ahead, I was like, is this really going to happen? Like, I actually allowed myself to question that for a second. Of course it didn't. And then the Packers, I was like, oh yeah, like this looks pretty clear at this point. It wasn't even competitive. And yet the Packers did what the Packers do in the playoffs, added to their lore. And I was like, and finally, like, can we figure out who they're playing? And sure enough, they're playing the 49ers. And that was nice to see. And it was also great to see that they're going to play on Saturday. They're going to play in prime time. I think things turned out pretty darn well with all the possibilities. I think the Seahawks have to be pretty pleased with how they ended up.
So Brian was pleased just from watching the wild card games. Mike, how was your week?
It was great. I was just telling you before we started recording, like I could feel the buzz, in the city, and that's from like talking to people and people reaching out that I don't even talk to that often. Or then like I got dragged to like a 4-year-old's birthday party during the Packers game. But like,
what was the theme? There's always a cool theme.
What was it? He was Spider-Man. I don't know if everyone else was something, but he was for sure. He had a mask and everything. But the dad was like a practice squad guy in the NFL for a few years, so like, he's an NFL dude. So he had the game on. But like that was a chance to just interact with like fans and like talk to them. Like, oh, what do you think? Who you guys want to play? And all the scenarios and how they're feeling. And that was kind of cool, because everyone's kind of looking at it differently. Some people were like, we're a 1 seed. I'm not rooting for anybody. Whoever can get it, whoever comes up here. Then some people were like, nah, I'd rather see the Packers. I know I want to smoke with the Niners again, or man, I hope we don't see the Rams again, or like I really want to see the Rams again because I don't like McVay or whatever it is, or I don't like Puka, who's gained a bunch of enemies in Seattle, it feels like over the past few months. That was cool. Just it's good energy to have, to feel. I don't get out a ton with 2 small kids unless it's to birthday parties. But like that just feels it felt cool. You can kind of feel the energy, not just online, but like, and I was out some other places too, but like that birthday party had a ton of people, a ton of fans. Once people find out what my job is, they have all these Seahawks questions, which I'm fine with. So that was cool. Like it was, you can feel the energy. It does feel like it feels like this is a meaningful game. Like we know that, but I can kind of feel that too, if that makes sense.
Rob, is there that same energy where you are?
Oh, there's always that kind of energy in the Staten household. No, I watched every second of the playoff games. I was very fortunate that for the second weekend in a row, the game that I was supposed to be commentating on was postponed for a frozen pitch. It's not even that cold in England. I don't know what's happening to all these pitches that are getting frozen. So it meant that I could just focus on the NFL. And I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would, because as Brian was sort of saying, you're watching the Panthers game, and then all of a sudden in your head, you're thinking the Rams are going to possibly get eliminated here. That's a boost. Then I started to work out, well, hang on a minute. If the 2 seed and 3 seed win as well, then the Panthers are coming to Seattle, and that would be fantastic. So then I started to get my hopes up about that. Then the Rams won. Then I spent a fair bit of time reasoning with myself to be okay with the possibility of playing the Rams right up until the Packers decided they were going to go 21-3 ahead. Then I sort of started thinking in my head, do I want to play the Packers or not? Because they look really good in the first half. Then in the second half, I decided, yes, I definitely want to play them because they look awful in the second half. And then they lost right at the end. So then I'm having to come back again to reasoning with myself that it's okay to play the Rams in the divisional round. And then the Niners go and beat the Eagles. And I found myself in this weird place where I was semi-rooting for the 49ers for the first time in a long time. I don't really know why. I'm not sure if I'll come to regret that decision. But throughout that game, I did actually want the Niners to win.
Don't say that in front of Brian. Have you listened to any of his Hawk bloggers? All right, like, come on, Hawk Talk. Come on.
Well, they did win, and now I'm feeling pretty confident about this game. That's not from a position of disrespect to the Niners. I think Kyle Shanahan, the job that he's done with those injuries, and Robert Saleh is frankly unbelievable, and they deserve all of the praise that they're getting. But I do feel confident. You know, the Seahawks, I think, are ready. So I'm ready. I'm ready for it to be Saturday. I can't bear the thought of having to wait another 3 days. It's nearly 4 for me because it kicks off at 1 a.m. To actually watch this thing kick off.
Wait a minute. What about you, AB? I want to hear your story for the weekend.
My story for the weekend. I felt the way that Rob did, almost not really cheering for different opponents, but more so like, who is it going to be? Just want to get there. And the players want the rest and they're happy to sit back and relax. But I think the same sentiment that Mike McDonald felt himself rooting for certain teams and being, wait, what am I doing? Right? This doesn't feel right. So I think that's where I am too. It's you're waiting for this moment. And really, when you think back, and when I think back to the discussions we were having at the beginning of the season, we all had high hopes for this team, but I don't know if any of us could have imagined getting to talk about being the #1 seed. I mean, I was just kind of sketching it out earlier. Okay, like, this is the game next week. This is who's playing who. And it's like the Seahawks are just in their own lane. And so I think that's what's exciting to me. But I got to know, just after watching that wild card weekend, is there anything or any team that maybe your opinion changed about after watching them play on that weekend, Mike?
On the NFC side or just in general?
We can go NFC side.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't feel great about the Bears. I never did. I don't like teams that have to like be the cardiac kids. Like, that's very fun and entertaining, but in terms of predictive power, look at the Commanders right after that. Like, basically the 2025 Bears, the 2024 Commanders. And when you run into a real team like the Commanders did, I think they gave up 60 in the title game. Like, it's just different weight classes. So not as much, but I think I felt a little less confident in like the Rams DB situation, which is weird because they were getting Quentin Lake back. So I was like, oh yeah, this would be great. And then it just kind of wasn't. They have like obvious holes there. And then I felt probably better about the 49ers defense, just because this is where coaching matters so much. Like, Robert Saleh is a great coach. I knew he'd out coach the Eagles OC and Jalen Hurts. Saleh's few games against Jalen have gone really well for Saleh's teams. I think he got him in a multi-interception game against the Jets a few years ago. So I feel better about that team. Not as good about the Rams. Their offense is obviously still great, but yeah, it's just like I thought they were kind of nails after watching them that first game, week 11, and everything leading up to that. Now I'm just like, it's a really beatable unit. So overall, I was like, this is great. This is a great draw for the Seahawks. And I feel like if they just handle business, just play normal, they should be fine. It's kind of my takeaway from watching the AFC side. If I was a Texans fan, I'd be like, if we just play normal, like if CJ just doesn't eat a ton of popcorn right before kickoff, like they win that game by 50. And I feel like the Seahawks have a similar setup. They run the ball well, get the ball to their #1 target guy, which Nico and Jax are pretty much the same in that regard. Their defense is kick ass. If I was those teams, I'd feel really good about where I'm at, assuming Nico is not concussed, and being like, if we just play normal, teams won't score enough to beat us.
Brian, do you feel similarly that sentiment is, if the Seahawks just are who they are, that they can have that same success?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Seahawks defense, I mentioned maybe this in the last show, that other than the Rams game, which was, they gave up a lot of points, 37 points, the most yardage ever. Over their last 6 or 7 games, the other games, the teams were averaging 7.6 points per game. So and that includes the 49ers. So the bar, like, the fun thing with a great defense is you only have to score more than they allow. And when this defense is doing things that they've basically been doing all year, they don't give up much. So yeah, I think you're talking about whether this offense can score 20 points a game. Like that's kind of the bar, I think, through the playoffs. And I think you got to feel pretty good about that opportunity, at least this week. And, I'll just echo what Mike said. One of the things I learned this weekend, or at least that still has my attention, that Rams defense is in trouble. Like I was of the mind that Quentin Lake would be a big addition. Maybe it was rust, maybe first week back, maybe it'll get better, but it was really bad. The Panthers are a terrible offense and a terrible passing offense. And they threw the ball all over the yard, and there was more yards there than they got. And Bryce Young was airmailing some throws. He was not very good. This is the same guy that had 40 yards passing against the Seahawks not that long ago. And so Quentin Lake did not play well. And then they lose Akella Witherspoon to a broken scapula. He's out for the rest of the year. They had Darius Williams as a healthy scratch because he's been so bad. They're going to have to bring him back and start playing him again after having, it's not great in that DB room. And in addition to that, the run defense is not that great. And now they're going to go to the Bears in cold weather who love to run the ball. And I just wonder, I have tons of respect for that Rams team. I think that defense is maybe weaker than we realize.
Well, you said broken scapula. I'm like, that's got to be like the worst injury ever. One of the worst that you probably never think about in Matthew Stafford's finger, right? I think that would be an issue too, even if he finished the game having a great fourth quarter performance. But Rob, do you feel similarly after watching the Rams in that game?
I mean, a little bit. I do think that sometimes you just end up playing a team that, for whatever reason, you've just got bad juju down there, and they've nearly lost to the Panthers for the second time, and maybe they're just a bit of kryptonite there for the Rams for some reason, for whatever reason it is. Maybe the hotel isn't very nice, maybe the food's not very nice that they eat before I don't know what it is, but they go down there and they don't play that well. They don't handle their business as well as the Seahawks did, and other teams have done against the Panthers. So don't know, because the Rams lost that game against Carolina, then came to Seattle and played very well for 3 quarters. So I just wonder whether or not, if they were coming to Seattle this week, whether we'd see a totally different Rams team. Not necessarily one that would win, but certainly one that would play a lot better than they did in Carolina. My big takeaway, I'm sorry it's not a Seahawks-related thing, was just I started hearing the Eagles fans booing, and my initial reaction was, this isn't that funny because they won the Super Bowl last year. And then I changed my mind, actually, because I then took a step back and thought, do you know what? If I was an Eagles fan, what would I be thinking? And my thought would be, I have absolutely zero confidence in Nick Sirianni, even though he won a Super Bowl. And this Eagles team has lost a lot of veteran leadership and is going to lose even more when Lane Johnson eventually hangs them up. And maybe I know Brandon Graham was back for a bit, wasn't he? When they've moved on, they are going to need strong leadership because they've got a bunch of players there that are young. Their sort of biggest name player is not reliable off the field. And they're going to have to need somebody who can lead from the top. And I don't think Nick Sirianni is that man. And I kind of sat there thinking, Guy, if I was them, I would be moving on like so many of these other teams are and finding someone who can bring some tough leadership at the top there for that team. And they've not done that. So they've decided to fire their offensive coordinator instead. So I get the sense that maybe we've seen the best of this era of the Eagles and that they may not be quite the force they've been in the last couple of years.
See, I thought for sure you were going to make a comment about Greg Olsen probably sitting by Matt Stafford's bedside table, nursing his poor boo-boo on his finger just to make sure he's okay next week.
And Matt, if you ever need anybody to coach your tight ends, you've got my number.
Yes.
Well, here's the thing we do know is that the 12s will definitely have a certain reaction, not like the Eagles fans. They are not as forgiving, and we hope it's a happier outcome for the Seahawks. But this is Mike Macdonald's first time being in this situation as a head coach. He called it the $1 million question for how much rest do you give your players and really handle the bye week. So I'm curious from you guys who have been covering the team throughout this time off, what have you noticed about what the Seahawks have been doing with their schedule, Mike?
Yeah, they practiced last week, and that was almost like a bonus practice week where you just like sharpen yourselves, And I think that was good. And they don't really. The thing I like about this team is they don't need external motivation. Like some guys just naturally just like that. Jaron Reed was like, I don't like the Niners. So that's what it is. And we play them. I got a little little more fuel. Chenna before the last game was like, we're ready to kick some Niner ass, because we want some revenge for week 1. But like generally, these guys, they all have this different thing that makes them tick. And a lot of it is just internal or within like the team, wanting to play well for each other or, get their name out there or just like make a name for the entire defense. Like they seem really adamant about like this dark side thing catching on. I'm surprised there's not like merchandise already out. They're sloughing on that.
Hey,
But
they have it. They have the merch. I'm seeing it on the
Do they?
Instagram. Oh, yeah, I'm
Oh, they
seeing it
do?
all over the Insta recently.
Oh, I gotta
They
check that
definitely
out.
did a
Yeah.
mass order, but we got to get it out to the 12s. We got to get in the pro shop. Brian, we got to get it on Simply Seattle. Is that what it is?
Yes, Simply
Yeah,
Seattle. Been
Simply
working with
Seattle.
them on some stuff.
Oh, really? On the dark side?
Yeah. I've been going through some different. Like they've got something already up, but I think there's better. I've been pushing them on some better options.
You're
for
chasing
design.
edges on the dark side
Chasing
designs?
edges, absolutely, right off the dark side.
You can bring
Hey,
the
I
mob
like
mentality
that.
into your workplace.
Yeah, I mean they got
Just
so they
don't
got
say
mob
it to your
tie
boss.
stuff. They got mob stuff everywhere. They definitely just they rush that to print. But like they just have like this fuel, and hearing guys talk about last week's practice and just how competitive it was. They went 1-on-1s, like their starters versus their starters, which is not typical that you're doing that unless your coach is bad. So that was good to hear. Like I just feel like they're gonna be ready. That's the sense I got, and that's good because I guess I'll do a bonus takeaway from the wild card round. Now I'm thinking about it is like the playoffs are such a good example of like you really are 0-0. It's perfectly reset. You just never know whose day it is or whose day it isn't. Like that, the playoffs reveal that every time. Like we got DeMarcus Robinson and Christian Kirk legacy games, right? But AJ Brown couldn't catch the ball. Like that's the playoffs for you. And and their teams, both of their teams won, and then AJ's team, like Rob was just talking about, is at home. It's like that's the playoffs for you. I got some homies that are Packers fans, and my phone lit up when Matthew Golden showed up. I forgot he was on the team for a little bit there. Matt Golden game. Now they lost, but it just like any given Saturday, Sunday, whatever. Like some guys have it, some guys don't. Quinyon Mitchell in the other direction can't catch a ball in the regular season. He's Deion Sanders in the postseason. Like he has like 4 interceptions or something. It's really you just really never know who's on and who's not, and that shapes legacies. That sends you home or not. And so you really just want everyone to. That's the desire in the playoffs. If I was coaching, I just want you to be. If I was a coach, I tell my guys, just be who you are. That got us here. No more, no less. Like if you be more, that's great. If you have the best game of your life, like Michael Jackson did, excellent, right? That's fine. But if you just be you, that's enough, And you saw a lot of guys there who played at a high level in the regular season, not be them. Not even that they just weren't great, they just weren't them. And run the ball well, or this tackle got beat, or this guy just didn't show up in the pass rush, whatever it was. You saw a lot of that and that would really frustrate me as a coach, So I feel confident that the Seahawks won't have that, but again, you just never know whose day it is or whose day it isn't, and if you just want all your guys to be locked in, I kind of get that sense from Seattle right now.
I like you sharing the motivation and the attitude that the players have. And you mentioned Uchenna Nwosu earlier, and I did see something that he commented on Fred Warner's post, "The road ends here, brother," on his last game day post. With I don't know how close the relationship is. I'm sure it's friendly banter, but it's fun to see, right? It's cool for fans to kind of see the outside part of that. But Brian, just being around the team during this bye week, is there anything that you've seen or observed or even heard from the team?
Yeah, I mean, building off kind of what Mike was saying before, you remember from like the Pete Carroll era, like there was this phrase he used to always talk about, like over trying. Like he was always guarding against over trying. Just wanted everyone to kind of do their jobs and not get too spun up into the game being too big, the moment being too big. And it's interesting kind of overlaying that with this team and this coaching staff. I've been kind of poking at that. I even asked some questions today of the guys around that. And Ernest Jones admitted that, yeah, there's this notion of like in this environment, it can, like the adrenaline can help you or it can work against you. I get the sense that these guys really understand what's going on with their assignments, with how to approach them, with how to play them. And a great part of that is Ernest talked about this today as well, that they understand why Mike's calling the defense he's doing, why they're in the specific coverage. And because they're in that coverage, how teams will likely attack them and how to adjust. So it's just really like this team has taken on the persona of its coach, as pretty much every team does, at least the ones that are bought in. And there's no sense of them being too high or too low. There's no sense of them like slowing down because of the bye week or speeding up for the moment. I think this team is so well coached, so well prepared, so well led, and has just the right mix of youth, energy, experience, hunger that, I'm not as worried about them coming out and being flat or overrunning a gap because they're too excited. I think you're going to see a professional, highly energized outcome for this team. And the one thing, AB, that I wish I could have gotten out of Ernest today, there used to be the anthem for the LOB was "These haters can't hold us back," and that just doesn't apply to this defense at all. They're not about haters. They're not about what other people say. And he said, yeah, there's some songs they like, but he couldn't remember what they are. Like, it would help the fan experience, honestly, in the stadium if there was a song that when it came on, the players got hyped and the fans knew. Like, it's a good thing to have at various points in these kind of stretches. And I hope we get to find out what that is over the course of the next few games.
Hey, maybe some Seahawks Collective viewers can let us know in the chat what song you think it should be, because coming from the fans, you want it to be bought in. Brian, I love that idea. And Rob, I know you were the singer on this show a couple weeks ago. So Rob, if you have any intel on what you think the song could be in Lumen Field, but Brian did mention just him not thinking that the Seahawks were going to come out flat. And in week 9, after their bye week, they had a dominant first half against the Washington Commanders. So I'd love to know from you, how do you expect the Seahawks to come out to start Saturday's game?
Well, I always think the best way to get into a game is to settle yourself down. And in this sport, the best way to settle yourself down is to run through somebody's face.
Simple as that, right? Just run through their face.
Well, just do that. I mean, look, the football's a long game. It lasts a long time. And although you do have crazy games and upset games all of the time, as we saw last night, the Texans were noticeably better than the Pittsburgh Steelers. And even though that game was 7-6 for a long period, I don't know about anybody else, but I was sat there waiting for the moment when that game broke open and there was a defensive touchdown, and that was that. And it ended up being 30 points to 6. And all the Houston Texans had to do, even though they were making mistakes with the quarterback, is hang in there and not sort of give away the back-breaking mistake, the stuff that will put points on the board. This is a long game, and the Seahawks are healthier. They're better. They've just battered this team into submission to the point that they wanted to be dragged off the field in the final drive of the game last time in Week 18. You've just got to go out there. Again, I say this with the utmost respect to the Niners, everything that they've achieved. And I'm not a big fan of the Niners because they are...
You were over the weekend. No,
but I have to say that they genuinely deserve a massive amount of respect for how they've handled all of these injuries this season. But it's time to use the advantage of being healthier and rested and more physical and experiencing just the domination that you had in Week 18 by going out there and just running through their face over and over again. Even if you make mistakes, you just get back on the saddle and you go again and you just do it and you outlast them. And it may be that it's 10-7 with 10 minutes to go, and it might finish 20 points to 7. Like, that's the kind of game that it might have to be. Just outlast them. Just be more physical. Just play the percentages. Don't do what these stupid teams have been doing in the wildcard round and going for it on 4th and 4 on your own 30-yard line. A punt is fine. If you're not trailing by 10 with 5 minutes to go, it's fine to punt the ball away or kick a field goal. I think if they do that, I think they will win.
Well, Rob, maybe we should have titled this show episode, Just Run Through the Face. Just run through the face. But it was the Seahawks who got the t-shirt and hat, the hat and t-shirt, winning hat and t-shirts in Santa Clara. And we're hoping to get not only that gear, so maybe Brian and Mike, you can do some snooping around the VMAC for me, because I have not received my NFC West hat and t-shirt merch, but also the mob clothing that maybe we will get from Brian. Oh, you got it. All right. Well, I'll have to get my hands on it. One thing I do have, though, are my new Doer jeans. And actually, that was a lie. I don't have them. They were delivered to my house before I moved, but someone was able to pick them up for me in Boston. So from a true Seahawk himself, Mr. Matt Hasselbeck says that the Doer jeans,
Hey.
let me know that they arrived to Boston. I can't wait to wear them. They're comfortable, stretchy. I'm excited to see how they're going to help me not only just sit here and do remote podcasts, but be out and about. And so I know not just for me, but our guys tonight are also excited to rep the Doer jeans. Guys, Brian, Mike, and Rob, would you mind just sharing how you're feeling about the new equipment?
I don't know that Rob got any
Are you,
equipment.
are you
over there,
getting
but-
free clothes?
Yeah, we are.
Oh, Rob, you weren't in on the group chat. I'm so sorry,
no.
my guy.
Where's my free clothes?
There's
Where's
a
my jeans?
tariff, Rob.
I like jeans.
I like jeans.
Rob, I'll have my dad ship you mine. Maybe they are stretchy. You know, I don't know. I think you're Rob. How tall are you? I think we talked about this. On the show.
I'm 6'4".
Yeah, there would be capris on Rob.
Yeah, they would be capris. But that's okay.
I don't like Mike McDaniel. There we go.
Yeah. Except yeah. Brian, how do you like your new gear?
I mean, I love the jeans. I'm not wearing the jeans today. This shirt, though, I got from Doer. It's great. I love this shirt. Super cozy. And honestly, I will admit, like, jeans, not a great experience for a squatty soccer player kind of build like me. So when I got them in the mail, I was like, these aren't going to fit. I know it. That's my experience. I put them on. They fit like a glove. They're super comfortable. And it's nice because when you work with a brand, you don't always know if like you're going to really believe in it. That's why I always try to use the product before we get to talk about it. And I'm really happy. It's a great product. It's a great product. So I can't wait till you get your hands on it. Maybe I'm curious what your experience is and also what Mike says. Mike's way cooler. So like his opinion should hold a lot more weight than 50-year-old me. So,
Well, I don't, my mom actually, wow, AB, we are in the same boat here. So I actually had my stuff sent to somewhere else where I don't live. And I had my mom pick it up for me after work because it was just easier for her commute. So she actually, much like your dad having your stuff, my mom she brought me this stuff last night. And I tried it. She wanted me to try it on.
Mike, so you win.
Well, my mom, it was an excuse for her to come see her grandkids as well. She was like, "Oh, I'll drop it off because then I can, see my grandkids." But she knows I don't really wear shirts with collars, really, so she calls it like real clothes. It's like, "Oh, you got some real clothes in the mail," because she opened my mail because she's still my mom. And I tried it on in front of her last night. This shirt right here, and she was like, "Oh, wow!" Like if she's feeling it, that means I know it's good. And then my wife was like, "Oh, you should wear that to the game on Saturday." I said no, but we'll see. I don't know. It does feel good, so maybe I will. I'm just not a big collared shirt person, but mostly because I wear 3 chains every day, and then
hey, all of us are tonight besides Rob, so it works.
Yeah, so but I do like it though. This is fly. It got my mom's approval, which I think is perhaps even more important because she has been begging. She begs me. I'm 33, and she still begs me to wear real clothes. She hates my like hoodies, sweatshirts, t-shirts. I'm like, Mom, who cares? But yeah, she's rocking with it. Then it's a win.
Well, hey, Rob, you can also use this, but you all can match with us on the collective and get 15% off your first order. Shop doer.com/GoHawks. Rob, that is shopdoer.com/GoHawks to get your Doer gear. We're super excited to have them with us, and make sure you do it now while you have the chance. But the Seahawks, they will have their 3rd chance against the 49ers this season. We'll be seeing them without George Kittle, and Mike McDonald called it a funky game going up against a team 2 times in a row. Brian, I heard you say earlier this week that maybe getting the first win is sometimes the hardest. And so, Rob, would you mind just commenting on that and if that is a reality for this game?
I don't know. What does Brian think on that one?
I think Rob's feelings are hurt about the clothes. I think we got to pitch in and get Rob some jeans. Like I think that's what's going on here. I've never heard Rob say he doesn't know about anything. What don't you know, Rob?
No, I'm gonna pass this one off. I'm not sure.
Because I like my thought is every time the Seahawks have been in this situation, the first game's been really tough. Whether it was the first game against the Redskins in 2005, that was a tough one. Whether it was the Saints game with Drew Brees in 2013, it was a tough one as well. Obviously, the NFC Championship was really tough as well. But this is a brand new team in terms of a lot of these guys, including the coaches, are getting their first playoff experience. And they can say it all that they want, that this is just like every other game. But it's not. It's just not. It is not like every other game. You go home if you don't win. You've built up everything to get to this point. It doesn't always happen that way. There is pressure. It is a rival. It is like all this stuff's going on. So sometimes it just takes a minute to adjust to playoff football. And once you get your first, I do think then it becomes easier from there.
Rob, I'll give you the chance, unless you want more time for Mike to respond. If, Mike, you think this will be a harder game than maybe one to come.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you have so many guys in new spots, it's so natural. Like, as much as I was just saying earlier about how I think they'll be locked in. That's easy to say. It's Tuesday night, right? Like, now what about, the morning of the game and like the text all they get from the family? I think Leo told us Dexter Lawrence is like flying in for the game, I believe he said. Like, you may have people like that who are in town, like maybe your agent's here, your girl, multiple girls, who knows? Like, it's just amplified, and you feel that. Even if you don't feel it Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, maybe you feel it just Saturday. Maybe you feel it at kickoff. Who knows? Like, it's tough when you just haven't been in that spot. Shout out to Brady Henderson, ESPN. He quizzed us all today. He said, "Can you in the media room?" He was like, "Can you guys name the 4 people on the Seahawks roster who have played in a Super Bowl?" But we got them all right. But it was like, there's only 4. That's not a lot of guys. And this ain't the Super Bowl, but there's not even a lot of guys who have a ton of playoff experience either. So. You just never really know how that's gonna go, and then what the playoffs have shown us too, it's like it's just one. All you gotta do is get one thing wrong, one busted coverage, one missed kick, one bad angle on an explosive run, and that's it. You're gone. You're done. So I still feel confident they'll be locked in, but we are just talking about the human element. This is one of those where I think the Seahawks are a pretty young team, like relative to snaps, weighted age. Bill Barnwell, ESPN, does a good job tracking that. And that's great for like your books and your future and all that. Then you play a playoff game. You're like, wow, 20 of our 22 starters and then never played it in, or whatever the number will be. Like that's where that shows up. So I mean, even if it's something as simple as like Jalen Sundell, right? You're the guy snapping the ball every play. Like, does he get every snap right? This, I don't want to jinx him, sorry, but there's just so much that could happen. So I think I feel confident, but I think the scenario Rob outlined about the game script, I actually feel good about. Very similar to the Houston game. Dogfight. One play happens. Maybe instead of a pick six, it's a Shaheed special teams play or something like that. A 70-yard return sets up a big something. But I think the floodgates should open eventually. But I was just actually looking at, when Rob mentioned that, I was looking at Shanahan's game log in the playoffs. These guys do not like get beat down at all. Like, they are in every game. I think their only double-digit loss, I pull this back up, is they got the game where Brock got hurt against the Eagles, but let's throw that out, obviously. And that's, other than that, you just have the Super Bowl they lost to the Chiefs in 2019. So like, they're in every game where they win. So this, I do think, is going to be a dogfight down to the end.
Well, I'm sure even the energy in Lumen Field is going to make it feel different than maybe a typical regular season game where you would hope. I know Jaron Reed talked today just about, he hopes that the loud meter thing breaks. He was excited to see that, and hopefully that comes from the Seahawks fans. But we mentioned George Kittle out earlier, and I'd love to know from you, Rob, how significant is this absence for him?
Well, I suppose that's the thing. Like, have the Niners ever been this injured before? And you have to say, look, they give him a lot of credit. Like, the Bears looked good at the end of the Green Bay game, and I kind of fancy the Bears to win this weekend, and then they'd be in the NFC Championship game. But not that long ago, the Niners went toe to toe with them. That was 2 terrible defenses, but they did go toe to toe, and they won that game, so they can clearly still be very competitive. But I don't know. Maybe this is a bad way of looking at it. I'm kind of wondering, at what point is one injury going to be one injury too many for the Niners? Like, it's so many players. It's an unbelievable list of not just role players, but your best players. Like, if they could trot out, Trent Williams, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Purdy, McCaffrey, Kittle, and they were all somewhat of good, strong health in this game, then I'd still be sort of thinking, bloody hell, like, they've got half a chance here of really winning this game. But when you take away a large bulk of that, some depth players as well, like their first-round pick, Micah Williams, is not healthy and stuff like that, eventually you kind of wonder, are they going to run out of steam? Is it like a car that is on? It's got a little last bit of fuel left, and it just had enough to get out of Philadelphia, but it's not got enough to get back to the house, and it's going to run out of steam here. And I just wonder, like Kittle. I think I heard somebody say that Tunges has basically played better than Kittle for the last few weeks because he hasn't been healthy, and maybe it's not such a big loss, and I can totally understand that. But I don't know. Like the Seahawks are, touch wood, I keep doing that, touching the desk as well, are going to stay healthy because I always feel like the healthiest team in the playoffs is often the one that has the best chance of success. And there aren't many healthier than the Seahawks right now. And I hope that stays that way throughout their time in the playoffs. The Niners are at the opposite end of the scale. And I just have to think, again, with all due respect to the Niners, that'll get boring quickly, me saying that. I just think the Seahawks are going to have too much for them to outlast them, whatever kind of game this is, and they're going to get the job done. And I think as long as they just outlast them, they don't have to do anything special. I think the Niners are going to come out firing. By the way, I think they've got no choice. I don't think they can nudge and nurdle away 3 yards of carry, stuff like that through this game, lean on the running game. I think Brock Purdy's got to come out and he's got to throw it around. They've got to take some chances. They've got to try and steal a possession. They've got to try and there'll probably be a trick play like the Juwan Jennings. I won't be surprised if he throws another pass in this game. There'll be something there to try and steal a score, a big play, steal a possession. They're going to have to do that. You've got to stop them being able to do that. You've got to prevent them from having the football. You've got to just run and play defense, play the percentages, and you'll be fine.
Brian, Rob mentioned the run game, and certainly the Seahawks had an incredible performance against Christian McCaffrey in their last matchup. But do you think that they can replicate that in this performance on Saturday?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think that there's a couple things that people are going to point to, and they should. Trent Williams didn't play the last time these two teams played, and Trent Williams is a big part of that offensive line. He's a big part of the pass blocking. He's a big part of the run game. Great. Trent Williams has played pretty much the whole season, and the 49ers run game's been trash the whole season. There was a period of a couple games before the Seahawks played them where it was actually productive, but this is like the 25th most efficient run game in the NFL. This is not the old 49ers run game. So, and they're going up against the best run defense in the NFL and the Seahawks that is fully loaded to do what they need to do. So, no, I don't think that I expect them to do a little bit better because the Seahawks, I mean, there was nothing for Christian McCaffrey last time. He was straining to get 2 yards, and like 3 yards was a good carry for him in that game. And I don't think it's realistic to necessarily do that again, but I don't know if he's going to get 50 yards on the ground. I think the bigger issue with Christian McCaffrey continues to be, how do you defend him as a receiver? And one of the really cool things that I think the Seahawks were able to do last time is they were threatening enough as a pass rush that the 49ers had to have Christian McCaffrey chip or contribute to pass protection a couple of times. It kept him in and gave Brock Purdy one less outlet. And Kittle being out, I agree. Like, he did not look healthy to me, even against the Seahawks, but he's a safety blanket for little Brock Purdy. And so if he's going to be out, and then you're also going to have Christian McCaffrey less available, I think that's just tough. It's a tough situation for that team. And look, everyone's going to point and say they gave up 3 points. It was an amazing performance by the defense, and it was. I'm not so convinced that there aren't things that the Seahawks can do better this time. And there wasn't a lot of turnovers, and Brock Purdy threw plenty against Philadelphia. And I love that Rob is in hysterics about something over there.
Okay, I'm sorry, that's a distract. Like, first of all, little Brock Purdy is you
Hey,
can't. It's just funny. I just found that really funny. It was almost as funny as Mike saying multiple girls a minute ago, which also had me in stitches. So you've got to stop making me laugh. And then the comments keep repeating these comments. And
Rob, you don't have to turn your mic off when you laugh. That's why we got them.
No, I'm sorry. Like, I have got the humor of a 14-year-old boy, even though I'm much older. So I'm very sorry about that. But they both made me chuckle there. So I'm sorry.
That's good. There's nothing wrong with that.
Mike, when you look at this run game against the Seahawks dark side defense, do you think that they'll have to leave CMC in to protect Brock Purdy more, or you still think he's a major threat in the passing game?
Yeah, I'm not too worried about them stopping the run. Like, that's a want to thing to me, just as a concept, not just the Seahawks, just every team. Like if you got guys who want to stop the run, you'll stop the run. Because it really is just as simple as there's some scheme stuff too, but can you get off the block? Yes or no? Like, can you beat the double team? Can you shock and shed? Like there's a lot, like that's it. Can you do that? Yes or no? And there were some moments there where the 49ers did do a good job in the last game, but like, yeah, it's just tough. I'm talking about going against the Seahawks run game. Now with the Seahawks defense, these guys they want to stop the run. They want to tackle well. Their film looks great every week. That's probably been the thing of all the things the Seahawks have done well this season. That's probably the most consistent is the run defense. Like it's just been just absolutely nails. I had to go look it up. I think they haven't given up a 100-yard rusher since like the Bills game last year or something. It's just crazy streak. So I feel very confident there. I'm just really high on Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy. I think they're just a really good duo, like go look at Brock's playoff game log, right? And then if you want, go watch the tapes too, that'd be better. But just want to go look at the numbers. Brock's a really good playoff quarterback. He doesn't really have like the stinker on there. Like the closest thing, honestly, we got is the Philly game he just played, which included him throwing the game-winning touchdown on the road, without his like best pass-catching weapon, right? Best two, probably. Best three when count Ayuk too, on top of that and Pearsall. So like Brock's very good is my point. I think he's very good. I've seen the tapes. Like he doesn't seem to like he makes like bad reads here and there, but nothing that suggests like he's getting the yips or whatever. Like he's not Justin Herbert, for instance. You know what I mean? Like he just plays very below the Herbert standard whenever it's January. Just goes.
And he's
south.
not going to be intimidated in Seattle. Like he's not going to. The moment's not going to be too big for him.
Yeah, like Brock's just got it. I don't know him. I haven't like read anything to cite here, but he just seems like mentally, to Brian's point, just unfazed by the moment. He's played well in the Super Bowl. Like when he left the field in the last Super Bowl, his team had the lead, right? Like I just think he's a good playoff performer, high level performer. He can move. Like he throws a good ball. If your DBs can catch, he'll give you one, at least a game. So hopefully they catch the one he gives them. He's almost guaranteed to. But that's the bigger one for me because also Shanahan and whoever he has at quarterback, whether it's Jimmy G or Brock or whoever, they seem to be like really good at like third and gotta throw it. So strange. Like Jimmy G was not good. And then he was like nails on like 3rd and 8. So it was weird. So when you give those up, I don't care who you're playing or how outmatched or the other team is from a talent perspective because of injuries, you can lose. So I think the Seahawks are going to win this game, but like I got a lot of respect for Brock and Kyle and how they work together and how they perform to make sure that they're always at least at their baseline for the regular season. And then sometimes we've seen Brock take it up a notch, like that Lions game a few years ago. So I think that the defense is going to be on it. I expect them to, but like they're going to get a fight. It's not, the Niners are going to score more than 3 points. I almost guarantee that. Like you're going to need to be on your P's and Q's again if you're the Seahawks defense.
And they're going to be game planning all the things and things that the Seahawks probably don't even expect. But we did see a trick play. Juwan Jennings throwing a touchdown pass to Christian McCaffrey in their last game. Rob, when you think about what the 49ers might pull out, how prepared do you think the Seahawks need to be for some trick plays?
You have to be prepared for it, but they've put it on tape now, so you will be prepared for it. And that's the thing. Like, you do wonder a little bit whether Kyle Shanahan and his crew, sat around the table the day after the Week 18 game and said, we're going to need something here, fellas. We've just had a game where we scored 3 points. And one of those plans was to have a trick play. And it worked, and well done. It's quite hard to then do it again the following week. Otherwise you would see every successful flea flicker repeated the following week. It just doesn't happen. So, they may well have to think about, as I've said before, they'd probably need to steal some points or a big conversion somewhere or get a turnover. They'll be looking for those scraps to stay in it. But I think it's worth reminding everybody that we just saw this team play San Francisco and they scored 3 points. And they didn't just score 3 points because they were driving it up and down the field and then the field goal kicker missed something, or Brock Purdy had an unfortunate turnover, or there's a bit of fumble luck for the Seahawks. No, they had one drive in the game of any kind of note, and it ended in an interception. Now, the interception's a little bit fortunate. It's a tip pass. It's spilled by McCaffrey. It's snapped up by Drake Thomas. There is a little bit of fortune to that. But at the same time, that was their only significant drive in the game. And with great respect for Kyle Shanahan and for Brock Purdy, I just feel as if that is significant to some extent. I think they'll do better. They'll throw more questions Seattle's way. And Seattle has tended to be a little bit better on the road than they have at home as well. And there is part of me that wonders whether the noise is impacting the defense as much as the offense at times for Seattle these days. However, I just have to believe that Week 18 game means something and that Seattle may well give up a few extra points, but nothing too significant in this game, which means if they can continue to run the ball like they have been doing and they can avoid errors, they should be fine.
Well, we really hope that the Seahawks throw on the Jumbotron. Shut up, the offense is working so that everybody is loud at the right time. But let's focus our attention to our team, what we think we'll see, maybe some injury updates that you need to know about and some news. But after we hear from our partner for this season, the Sleeper app. So check out this quick video. This quick video.
Sleeper is the #1 fantasy sports app. It pays to know sports. Pick more or less on top players. Your first pick is on us, so start winning now. Play in Texas, Georgia, Minnesota, and 27 more states. Pick anytime across all sports, pregame or live. Over 10 million players are already on Sleeper. Make your picks count. Score up to 1,000 times your cash. Join today. Get up to $100 credit using code HMA. Call your shot on Sleeper. Download now.
Well, I'm glad we had the Sleeper up because we didn't get our cool intro music, but there we go. So try the Sleeper app because it's great to keep up with all that's going on. News alerts, live scores, stats, win real money. You can do it with others. Follow sports like we do. You're going to want to get on the Sleeper app. So make sure you check out the #1 sports app today and try it out for yourself. Use promo code HMA and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms for use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. So check out the Sleeper app today. And guys, we talked about it earlier, just the injury plague season that the 49ers have had. But on the other side, the Seahawks could return some key pieces to their roster. Elijah Arroyo returned to practice last week after being on IR. I know Mike McDonald said that there's a possibility of him returning. Brian, what does this possibly mean for the offense if he does return?
Yeah, isn't it funny, AB, how like everyone talks about Trent Williams being out and the 49ers are missing their left tackle, but no one mentions that Josh Jones was playing on like not fully healthy legs in that game, and Seahawks managed just fine. Now they get their left tackle back, and they're going against really the worst pass rush in the NFL right now, not just in the playoffs, like in the NFL. And so I think that that's helpful. It's always great to get your starters back. Elijah Arroyo is a really interesting one. I'm curious about this. I know Rob's a huge Elijah Arroyo fan. I was supportive of the pick. He had some pretty big plays for this team, and he also had this ability to potentially be a field stretcher the way the other tight ends aren't. I mean, I love AJ Barner and how he's contributed, and Eric Saubert and all those guys have done their thing, but Elijah Arroyo is a different athlete in that way. And so I do wonder if him coming back, what that will mean in terms of whether it affects coverages, whether it opens up some things for other players. I also wonder a little bit, like the running game has been really good lately, and Elijah Arroyo has been a better blocker than I expected, but that's not necessarily his calling card. So if you're getting less snaps for Eric Saubert, is that always a good thing? I don't know. I'm curious to see. And then Kobe Bryant should be back this week as well. And Ty Okada played really, really well when he's been in there. Obviously, that defense had him in there when they were playing last time. Kobe Bryant's going to be coming back after a little bit of time off. How sharp is he going to be? He early in the season, people probably forget, he had some missed tackle problems. And that came early on. Tampa Bay in particular was a game where some of those things showed up, and he made some real focused effort to like correct that. And his tackling's been great. But one of the things you often hear from players that's hard to get back into is tackling. You don't have live contact. You're not able to do it in the same way, and to Mike's point, there were a lot of fantastic open field tackles in that game against the 49ers that if those hadn't happened, could have turned into bigger plays. So that's just, there's pros and cons to getting people back. And I'll kind of be curious to see how that plays out, both from the players and also from the coaches, from a personnel perspective, formation, and others.
Yeah, out of those three guys, Charles Cross, Kobe Bryant, Elijah Arroyo, Rob, who do you need to see the most on Saturday?
I I mean, they won in week 18 without those guys. So I'm not. I mean, look, I'm glad they're all back, but I'm not sort of thinking there's one in particular that is sort of some great difference maker here. And frankly, look, I mean, Charles Cross is going to start. Kobe Bryant's going to start. I am a huge Elijah Arroyo fan, and funnily enough, throughout the draft process, kind of thought as a receiver at least there was a bit of kittle to him. Like he's kind of got that inevitability in the seam, and the sort of you just can't cover him, and it's 3rd and 7, and he's going to get the football. And I did think that was the comparison. And John Schneider, I think after the draft was talking, I can't remember whether he said like top 15 or top 20 in the class. If it wasn't for the injuries, and that spoke to how talented he was. But I have to say, in this game, if he doesn't barely do anything, I'll be completely satisfied with that. Like I don't want to see them trying to find ways to get him back involved in the game plan necessarily. I mean, obviously, if they do and he has a great game, fantastic. What do I know? But if I just don't, my lasting memory of is stuff like that Rams game where they're trying to throw it over the middle and Darnold's getting picked off again, and I just feel like he's a rookie. He's learning his ropes. I think we've already kind of conceded that it's a semi red shirt year for him. He's kind of got a bit of NFL experience, but he's not been a massive contributor. I'm not really that bothered about seeing him out there and sort of a focal point of anything in here. I'm quite happy to see put your best guys out there that are going to help you run the football down their throat. And then a bit of play action, bit of AJ Barner, a lot of Jackson Smith and Jigba, bit of Cooper Kupp. That'll work for me.
Hey, you never know. Those tight ends have come in clutch throughout this season in the passing game. Mike, for you, is there one guy on this injury list and return injury list, hopefully, that you need to see on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I'm real high on Charles and Kobe just as players. I thought they're both worth extensions. Charles just got his. I think Kobe's worth one. Ty Okada has played well, although he plays a different position than Kobe. And what I've been saying about backups applies there too, where it's like, yeah, you can put other guy in there and survive, but like, is it easier if you just have the starter in there? If it opens up more stuff for you, sometimes schematically that's the case, particularly with safeties. I've seen them win games with like Marquise Blair at safety, right? But it's like obvious you'd rather have Quandre, right? Because you can do more. So it kind of, not to say that Ty is Marquise Blair, but that's just an example. So I'm really excited to see Kobe. I think he's like a real ball hawk. I think that's what they could use. Like I said, Brock could give you one, at least one every game. So Kobe's very capable of going to get that. He's a hard hitter. He's a trash talker. He's just a leader of that DB room as well. Just having him out there is a nice presence. You can see from some of the like all access video stuff, like Kobe getting in the middle and being like, follow me, like telling I'm gonna lead y'all today, like. With more profanity and he's yelling more, but that's the sentiment. And the same thing schematically with Charles. Like Josh Jones, that was Warrior stuff he played. With that, if Charles is fine, you don't need Warrior stuff. You don't need to help him out, chips and things like that, slide the protection his way. You can just leave Charles on an island against, as Brian said, a pass rush you're not scared of, and that opens up more stuff for your offense as well. I think that Sam will need a little bit more time in the pocket because I would like to see them air it out finally a little bit more to Shaheed. I watched the tape again the other day. I was like, dog, what is up with the no Shaheed deep ball targets? It's like a little nitpicky, but at the same time, I don't feel it is. Like he should get
could be this game, Mike. We were saying the same thing, and then he came back with the touchdown, kickoff return, punt return, or which one it was. I'm hoping it comes out of nowhere, maybe out of the gates.
You know what they can do? Like, this is me giving them advice, like I tend to do in our Seahawks pod. Like, I feel very confident Shaheed can run right by Diamador Lenore. Like he did it several times in this last game, and then Sam was just like, "Nah, I don't like it." I think he only targeted Lenore like once or twice. Maybe it's weird. Like Jax got the better of the matchup between Diamador, called him out. Jax called him a fan, which is a great response by Jax. I don't know if we talked about that here. It's just an excellent rebuttal from Jax. But
when you were in that presser, when you heard that, what was your initial reaction? Because I could kind of hear some laughing out of the audio online.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious. Because Jax is not like that guy. That's an earnest thing. To say something like that, or even Leo, just Chenna.
That's why it was so good, because it was so chill, keep my fans, can't keep track of my fans, or however he said it.
Yeah, he says it's hard for me to respond back to all my fans. And I was like, wow, that is an excellent
And you're there
line,
hard to respond to all my wait a second, he's kidding.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I typed that right away. I was like, yeah, this is great. But like at the same time, if you're Lenore, you're like, all right, why didn't they try me after the first quarter? the counterpoints, they didn't, and they should have. And I think that'll help them score more than 13 points in this game because Shaheed's great. He deserves the ball more. He deserves more deep opportunities. And I think you can get some of that stuff done when you have Charles in there against this pass rush, as we've been saying, is just not very intimidating.
Well, hey, just looking at the Seahawks roster and thinking about the season that we've had up until this point, you've seen the Seahawks win very different ways throughout this year. You can go defensive touchdowns, a full day of just kicking, Charbonnet in the red zone, Rashid Shaheed on kickoffs, and JSN going deep. Hopefully we see some more of that, but I'll love to know from each of you. And Rob, I'll start with you. Which Seahawks player do you think could score Saturday's first points?
I'm going to go for one of the two running backs. You know, they've really sort of produced at a good pace in the last few weeks. Charbonnet is the one who's scored most of the touchdowns, so I will probably go with him. But it could easily be Ken Walker as well. I think it's that kind of game. It's playoff football time. You know, I think we've all had a good look at this. People were sort of saying, "Oh, you know, is it the best thing necessarily? You know, to have a week off and." Do you come in a bit cold? And the example was look at all the teams in the college football playoff. I mean, they didn't have a bye week. They had a bye month. And the other team, I think, getting an extra week in there was a benefit in that. This is a little bit different. I think you've got to look at these other teams and go, okay, what are the mistakes we're not going to make? Houston Texans, we're not going to ask our quarterback to throw it all around the field when we're driving it down the throat of the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're going to learn from that. We're going to enable Sam Darnold to be a point guard and a game manager, and we're going to run the football. And if he needs to be more than that, we'll deal with that as the game declares itself. But at the outset, we're going to set up to play a certain way. And then looking at all these teams going for it on fourth down all the time, you don't need to do any of that stuff. We don't need to be doing all this. Okay, we're going to be really super aggressive because that's what the world dictates that you have to do now. We don't need to do any of that stuff. Just play the percentages, get your running backs to football, few screens. You know, screens have worked well recently, which is a huge surprise for any Seahawks fan who's ever watched football. And, you know, I think that's the kind of game it's going to be. Playoff football, defense, running game. Sounds a bit old, cliche, bit boring like me, but that's the kind of brand of football I want to see this weekend.
All right, Rob's going with the safe take. Brian, who do you think is going to score first for the Hawks?
You know, either Jason Myers or Cooper Kupp. One of those two is probably high on my list. And here's the thing, AB, I'm not sure it matters as much who's going to be the first to score. I just want to get this out there that we're all tiptoeing around it a little bit. Well, it's a playoff game and it's a rivalry and 49ers are really well coached and we're impressed with how they got here. The Seahawks are massively better than the 49ers. For a playoff game, this is about as advantageous of a game as you can have. There's a reason they're 7.5-point favorites. I'm not saying they will, but the expectation should be that the Seahawks win this game by double digits at least. That's how the expectation should be. Now, is it going to be that way?
This fan base is just too humble, Brian. We're just too humble.
It's true. It's true. It's very different than the faithful that can't fill their own stadium during a Week 18 performance. But yeah, I think AB, this should be my general prediction. Then I'll give it up for Mike because I know he's got stuff to talk through here. Wild card weekend usually is when the blowouts are, and then the divisional games are fantastic football. I think it's going to be flipped this year. I think the divisional games, the wild card games, were all close. I think it's going to be a weekend full of blowouts, and I think the Seahawks are going to be part of that, and I think they're going to be on the right side of that.
Mike, who do you think it's going to be?
You know, that was when Rob said that about Zach Charbonnet at first, I was like, has anyone else even scored against these guys? And the answer is no. Zach has their 2 touchdowns against the Niners in this.
There you go. It's a trick question, and Rob won. We're all done.
Yeah.
We're all done.
Well, that means, can you,
Rob, you're going to get your doer gear. All right. We're going to get your doer gear. You do not need to use the promo code shopdoer.com/GoHawks. You don't need to use that. Yours is going to come fully free.
Yeah, I mean, if you're an anytime touchdown wagerer, I mean, it seems like just cash right there. You take a Zach Charbonnet anytime. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who will, but I would like it to be Shaheed. I really just it's weird. How good of a I wish we could do a whole tape breakdown. He's getting open. At first, because for the first few weeks, I was like, oh, maybe he's just not getting open and stuff, or he's on the backside of reads or whatever. No, man, there was a ball on Week 18 where like he's on the front side, well, not the front side, but like it's a full field action. There's only 2 routes. One of them's Jackson over the middle and Shaheed deep. They got 2 options. And Jax was wide open over the middle, so he took it for like 18 yards. But the safety chose Jax, and she's just running by Lenore. I'm like, there's plays like that on tape. So I mean, the stadium's going to be crazy rocking whatever, but I feel like a Shaheed long touchdown of any kind, like if it's anything like the week 16 punt return, that place is just gonna, what Jaron say, he wants the noise meter thing to break. Yeah,
not work.
It'll break with a Shaheed long ball. Like he's what you're talking about overdue. Is there another word past overdue? Whatever that word is, it's Shaheed. Like I think they should try to get that done like the first drive. Hell, the first play. You know, DeMarcus Robinson went for like a bazillion yards first play in Philly. They should have something like that on the first drive. Like try to get Shaheed involved early, because as much as we talk about their pass rush, DBs ain't much either for the Niners. Like he can run by all of them. It's just a matter of dialing up and making it happen.
Hey, I really hope, Mike, that I can tweet Shaheed with like 7 E's at Michael Shandugar before the game or during the game on Saturday, hopefully in the first quarter. But I'm sure you all have a lot going on this week in preparation to get the 12s ready to watch on Saturday. So, Rob, what's coming up for you on your channel?
Well, I've just written a 4,500 word article on the draft. So, seeing as it took forever, I would please go and read that. It's on the blog now. If you scroll down a little bit with a horizontal board and a positional breakdown on the draft, lots of information there. So if you have a bit of time and you can be bothered to read through an absolute tome of words on the draft, then it's on there now.
All right. I like it. Brian, what do you have coming up?
A lot. Tomorrow morning, Grant Cohn's going to be on with us for First Look as we break down this matchup. We're going to have Real Hawk Talk with the OG crew Wednesday evening. Thursday, going to have Mina Kimes, Brett Coleman from Bootleg Football, as well as Brian Baldinger will be on. And then Friday, Dave Bowling, Mike Sando, and then Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and then Adam Ray will be joining us. So we got a ton of people coming up this week.
Stacked lineup. Brian went all out, so you guys check it out. Mike, what do you have coming up?
Yeah, we're gonna this week we're just gonna preview the matchup. No one big thing because there was no one big game. We're gonna have my homie Matt Barrows covers the Niners for the Athletic, and actually we're gonna record that in about 60 seconds as soon as we're done here. So yeah, that'll be out Wednesday morning, getting into the matchup. I can't wait. It's a good matchup, as you guys can probably tell. I think it's gonna be a really good game. So yeah, that'll drop a Seahawks man-to-man pod on Wednesday.
Good. Well, Mike, make sure you assert your dominance and reflect the energy that we're feeling from this show, because the Seahawks have the opportunity to advance on their playoff run with a win over the 49ers on Saturday night. And we hope that the world will know who the 12s are from the loudness that they will bring to Lumen Field. From Rob, Mike, Brian, and myself, good night and go Seahawks.